In the darkest hours of the war, a secret decision was made by men who believed Germany could only be saved by removing its own leader.
By 1943, defeat loomed closer each month, and whispers of resistance spread even within the heart of
how endless losses in the East convinced some officers that the war was unwinnable. Conscience and survival were now Faith and morality played a dangerous role in shaping resistance. Some conspirators believed killing their leader was a moral duty, not a crime. First quiet meetings were disguised as routine discussions of strategy. Every conversation risked betrayal and death. Trust was fragile, built slowly and tested constantly. A single careless word could destroy everything. Secrecy became a weapon as vital as any gun. Fear sharpened every decision. The conspirators believed removing the leader could open the door to negotiations and spare Germany total destruction. These ruins strengthened the resolve of those plotting in secret. They felt time was running out.
The existing emergency plan would be used to seize control after the assassination. Legality and rebellion were dangerously intertwined.
Communication would decide success or failure. Minutes, not hours, would shape history.
Travel itself was dangerous, with security tightening everywhere. Fate now moved alongside chance.
The loneliness of the journey toward the target. Doubt and resolve battled silently inside the conspirator's mind.
This location was chosen for an attempt because routine bred vulnerability, even in heavily guarded places.
An unexpected change in setting altered everything. Chance intervened at the worst possible moment. The unbearable tension of final preparation. There would be no second attempt. The meeting brought the target within reach. It appeared an ordinary moment, yet it hid a deadly purpose.
The device was now armed and waiting. History held its breath.
Escape was necessary to trigger the next phase. Suspicion lurked everywhere. The seconds stretching endlessly. Unseen forces were already at work. The detonation was absent. In the ensuing chaos, confusion spread instantly. Clarity was impossible in the first minutes.
messages of success, however fleeting, often outran confirmation. In the signal hours, assumptions, not facts, became the currency of the Reich.
The emergency plan was set into motion. Momentum now mattered more than truth.
Fragmented information spread uncertainty. Hesitation crept into decisive moments.
Loyalty and doubt clashed openly for the first time. The unity and command dissolved under immense pressure of the collapsing front.
The devastating truth began to emerge. The target had survived.
Hope collapsed in an instant. Everything now turned against the conspirators.
Retaliation began immediately. Mercy would not follow.
Fear spread faster than any order. Silence became a survival instinct.
The regime demanded names and confessions. Pain replaced secrecy. They tried to burn the evidence, to protect their names, but it was already too late.
Punishment was swift and merciless. The regime's response was final.
The regime portrayed their survival as destiny. Fear silenced public doubt.
The failed plot deepened suffering rather than ending it, and reflected on the cost paid by innocents.
The war dragged on with renewed brutality. It came so close to ending sooner.
The conspirators were erased from official memory. Their motives were twisted by propaganda.
Vision. Germany's destruction continued unchecked. The chance for an earlier end was gone. The war's momentum could no longer be altered from within. The inevitability was now set in motion.
Ordinary people paid the final price for the failed attempt.
Months of additional bloodshed followed. The narration underscores the weight of what might have been.
History does not bend easily. The thin line between action and outcome. Remembrance would come much later. The truth was buried for years. Eventually, the plot would be reevaluated. For courage can survive, even in failure.
History finally began to listen. The complexity of their choice.
So many lives offered.
The plot failed, but the question it raised endured. The narration stresses the power of moral resistance.
How close the world came to a different ending. The fragility of history. Consequences outlived intentions. The narration underscores the permanence of decisions made in moments. The war would end by force from outside, not by conscience within. After the failed plot, the war accelerated toward its violent conclusion. The chance for an internal collapse had vanished.
The price of delay was paid by millions with no voice in the decisions. The narration underscores how history punishes hesitation.
Total war demanded everything until the end. Exhaustion replaced belief.
Desperation hardened resistance. Survival instincts eclipsed ideology. The seasons changed, but the killing did not. Time, like the snow, slip away, a silent witness to our folly.
Repression deepened after the plot. Fear became policy.
Hope narrowed to survival. The shrinking horizon of the future was their only reality. Decisions now chased inevitability. Control became illusion. Momentum had become unstoppable. Resistance only multiplied casualties.
With the destruction of the bridges, retreat officially replaced strategy, signaling the complete unraveling of the command structure.
Human cost, it continued to rise. A rising tide of suffering, without purpose, without end.
Destruction rained down relentlessly. The path to peace narrowed with each passing day.
Cities became graveyards of ambition.
The bitter taste of defeat became untenable. With each passing hour, the fragile threads of Otharda unraveled. The war returned to where it began. The voice notes the tightening circle.
Urban combat consumed everything. There was no escape from the chaos.
Endurance replaced belief. A hollow determination. Only thing left. In the prolonged dance of destruction, where every day brought new loss, survival became the only victory.
The organized resistance dissolved into fragments. The collapse was inevitable.
Command has retreated underground. A profound sense of denial permeates this confinement. Isolation defined the final days.
The collapse of coordination!
The end of the conflict approached unevenly and brutally, and danger lingered everywhere in the ruins. Force ended what conscience could not. The delay, however, came at an unforgivable cost.
And as for those responsible for these atrocities, a reckoning and accountability would find them in the crucible of justice.
Silence has replaced the sounds of gunfire.
History began sorting truth from lies, but the understanding, it was always delayed. From the ashes of devastation, recovery began. Amidst the loss, the human spirit proved resilient. The fear of those dark days had been replaced by a quiet, collective remembrance. In these hushed
future generations, they would ask difficult questions. They would question the choices made, the sacrifices demanded. They would grapple with the moral complexities.
Symbols outlast individuals.
Peace arrived unevenly. For some, it brought an end to suffering, a chance to rebuild. Others, the scars remain. The dead outnumbered the remembered.
Memory depends on preservation, and preservation, in turn, depends on vigilance.
Ordinary, the place appears failed. An extraordinary consequence that obscures the incident and what almost happened there.
Courage rarely guarantees success. Your intent over outcome.
Judgment came slowly, but for some, accountability at last. From the ashes of destruction, a new world to emerge. The profonund rel culpuses neshons, and permanenty these changes.
Memory endures, not in grand pronouncements, but in the profound silence of these hallowed grounds.
Time softens the scars upon the earth, but it can never ease the lessons learned, nor diminish the importance of remembrance.
That stories and legends survive through the act of telling is the responsibility inherent in preserving and transmitting these narratives.
Knowledge guards against repetition. We must forever be vigilant. Peace carries memory, and within silence, a new future withers. Dawn always follows the darkness, but the cost of that transition, the endurance required, is immense. There are moments in time. Remembrance anchors history. Honor, a concept often associated with triumph, can, at times, follow. The it history all meant alstost, almost, took be different path. Some truths sleep until needed. Peace is a delicate bloom that demands constant tending and a perpetual journey, requiring vigilant guardianship from all who cherish it.
Remembrance is an act of choice. Duty is an act of reflection.
Secret plot failed, but its question endured. The narration underscores moral courage. History is shaped by those who act and those who hesitate, and that even failure can illuminate the path forward.